Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that so many of us struggle with, losing that stubborn belly fat. But what if I told you the real problem isn't the fat you can pinch and see, but a hidden enemy lurking deep inside your body?
You know the feeling, right? You're doing all the crunches, you're cutting calories, but that fat just will not budge. Well, you're not alone. And according to some really interesting research, you might be failing simply because you're fighting the wrong battle. You see, that fat just under your skin, the stuff you can actually grab, isn't the main problem. The real danger is something you can't even see. It's this hidden internal process that's actively working against your health, day in and day out.
And this hidden enemy? It has a name: visceral fat. Now, to be really clear, this isn't about looking good in a swimsuit. We are talking about a dangerous, inflammatory process that could be happening inside you as we speak.
A leading researcher in this space, Dr. Sean O'Mara, he puts it so bluntly. He doesn't even see visceral fat as a normal part of your body. He calls it an invasive disease. And when he's asked how much you should have, his answer is simple: zero. None.
So, try to picture this. If you were looking at an MRI scan, your healthy organs and muscles would show up as dark shapes. But the visceral fat? It appears as this white, almost spiderweb-like tissue, just infiltrating all the space around those vital organs. It's like having an internal inflammation factory running 24/7.
But here's a super important distinction. Not all fat is your enemy. While that visceral fat is dangerous and inflammatory, the fat right under your skin, that superficial fat, is actually good for you. It's a protective layer that secretes a helpful molecule called adiponectin. So the real goal isn't just to lose fat, it's to get rid of the bad fat while keeping the good stuff.
Okay, so if it's invisible, how in the world are you supposed to know if you have it? I mean, short of getting an expensive MRI. Well, Dr. O'Mara says there are actually several external signs that can act as really powerful clues.
And all of these signs, they really point back to one big problem: widespread inflammation and poor blood flow caused by that visceral fat. A puffy, inflamed face is a huge one. But other things, like thinning hair on your lower legs, or even your walk getting a little worse over time, that can happen as this invasive fat damages blood vessels and literally gets into your muscle tissue.
And for a really dramatic example, just look at Dr. O'Mara himself. On the left, at age 48, you can see that facial puffiness that he now says was due to high visceral fat. But on the right, at 61, after he got rid of it, well, the change in his health is written all over his face.
Dr. O'Mara actually suggests a simple little test you can do right now. Go find a picture of yourself from 10, maybe 15 years ago. Compare it to today. Has your face become puffier, less defined? According to his research, that visual shift can be a really strong clue that visceral fat has been building up over the years.
So what's feeding this internal enemy? The culprits he's identified go way beyond what you'd normally think, and they really challenge a lot of the conventional wisdom we've all been taught about health.
Okay, so processed foods and alcohol. They're on the list, no big surprise there. But then you've got chronic stress, which floods your system with the fat-storing hormone cortisol. Poor sleep is a big one too. And then there's this really shocking one. Doing the wrong kind of exercise can actually make it all worse. And this all leads to a pretty radical idea from Dr. O'Mara's work. When you're talking about visceral fat, the quality of what you eat is way, way more important than just counting calories or jogging on a treadmill. He's actually documented patient cases where people reverse this disease with diet alone, without adding a single minute of exercise. So, how do you actually fight back? Well, the battle plan he lays out requires a totally fresh approach, one that pretty much flips conventional health advice right on its head. Get ready to unlearn a few things. Instead of that long, slow cardio, the answer is brief, intense sprinting. Instead of being scared of fat, this strategy is all about embracing high-quality fats from things like butter and steak. And get this, he actually advises against that expensive marbled prime beef. Why? Because that fat inside the muscle, it's the exact same disease you're trying to get rid of in your own body. And you know, if you're thinking you need to live in the gym to do this, think again. Dr. O'Mara himself says he exercises for just 5 minutes a day. It's not about how long you work out, it's all about the intensity.
But, and this is crucial, if you're going to try this kind of high-intensity exercise, you have to be safe. Dr. O'Mara says to ease into it, maybe in a pool or on a stationary bike. If you do sprint on land, doing it on a hill actually reduces the risk of injury. And the protocol itself is surprisingly simple. Just 6 all-out sprints for about 10 to 15 seconds each with a full recovery in between. That's literally it.
Now, the plate itself, it's going to look way different from a typical healthy meal. It's built around these nutrient-dense, high-quality fats to give you energy without causing the wrong hormonal response. So the base is a lean ribeye, cooked in butter, with some egg yolks for extra nutrients, a little bacon for flavor, and some fermented foods to help your gut.
There are a couple of other key tactics he uses to basically starve the visceral fat. One is extended fasting, which helps your body clean out damaged cells. It's a process called autophagy. The other is avoiding most modern high-sugar fruits. The exception? Fermented versions, like apple cider vinegar, because they don't feed the problem in the same way.
And all of this, it leads to the most important point of all, a total redefinition of what the goal should even be. What are we actually trying to achieve with our health? Well, from this perspective, the answer might not be what you think.
This is where Dr. O'Mara really challenges that ultimate fitness symbol. He argues that chasing a visible six-pack can actually be unhealthy. The true sign of health, he says, is a strong core that's visible on an MRI, protected by that healthy layer of good fat.
So let's be clear. The goal isn't to be fat-free. The goal is to be disease-free. That means targeting and wiping out that inflammatory visceral fat, while at the same time preserving and even building up that beneficial protective layer of superficial fat. And that brings us to a final, really powerful warning from Dr. O'Mara. Whatever you do, avoid procedures like liposuction. He argues that by removing that protective superficial fat, you not only put your health at risk, but based on his own patient stories, you can actually harm your appearance. That good fat is just too important to get rid of.
So the question this leaves all of us with is a really personal one. Is your ultimate goal a temporary, aesthetic six-pack? Or is it to build a body that is truly healthy from the inside out, for a longer, more vibrant life? It's a powerful choice to think about. Thanks for joining us on the Explain